Hi, I'm Patty.
I'm Kim Michelle.
And I'm Jill. Welcome to our podcast. It's a great day to talk.
Because honestly, what day isn't a great day to talk?
So join us in our conversation.
A Great Day to Talk is brought to you by St. George Design, offering complete website design, social media management, search engine optimization, Google and Facebook ad management, and many other digital and print marketing services. stgeorgedesign.com. And by Richardson Brothers Custom Homes, third-generation builders who have been building custom homes in southern Utah for over 25 years. They will take your dream home from concept to completion. Contact richardsonbrothers.com. The April Gates Group and Zion Canyon Real Estate has been specializing in helping southern Utah clients buy and sell property for over 18 years. We can help you too. Call or text April today, 435-632-8869. 435-632-8869.
Hi, and welcome to A Great Day to Talk. We're super excited tonight because we have a guest speaker, and it happens to be our 38th episode of A Great Day to Talk, and it also happens to be the many years I have known April Gates, 38.
Woo-hoo!
April Gates.
That's my age.
I know that. I was
April
going to say.
Gates.
That's weird because we've only been
alive for 38 years.
How does that happen?
We met right out the gate.
Ooh,
Oh,
awkward.
A little play on words.
Awkward. Oh, get it? Gates,
Uh-huh.
Gates. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm. We're on it tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
Yay.
However, we are super excited because not only do I have my good friend right here, April Gates, I also have my good friend Jill and my good friend Kim Michelle.
Hello.
And we are happy to be back because we missed last week and so have so much to talk about.
And
we've-
wait, Sean, are you fine?
Sean, are you feeling better?
Yeah, thank you.
Good. Okay.
Congratulations.
All right, good.
He
No
can
delay.
formulate 2 words.
Yay.
Yeah,
Better.
good. Yeah.
We're
He's
glad
very
you're
all
back,
good.
He's
Sean.
very
We're all
We're
good,
very
yeah.
glad you're back.
Mhm.
So we decided to invite our good friend April to give us some expert advice and answer some questions because I know we all have the same questions. What with the market?
That would be the real estate market, not your food market.
Yeah,
Or
like what is
the,
going on,
yeah,
and can
stock
our
market.
children ever expect to own a home? And Miss April Gates has been in real estate for over 18 years. She is a local. She and I went to high school together here at Pineview High, class of '87.
True live locals.
True live locals.
We can add in local yokel.
Yes,
can't we?
Yeah,
yes.
Because
totally.
like
because we
They
also
will be
yokel.
yodeling as well.
Back in the day.
Yep, local yodels.
Or only
Yeah.
locals.
Yes. In fact, quick story. I met April on the set of The Sound of Music at Pineview High School.
Dun, dun, are alive
Sound of music.
with the sound of music. My
I
heart
think the
feels
listenership is struggling
something.
right now. So I-
Well,
no. This is our favorite
Just-
part of the whole podcast.
Just like
People
our-
actually keep asking for
They
us
do.
to sing
They
more.
do. Well, a person. And that's Jill.
Well-
Jill keeps asking for us to do that more.
Well, I
Please.
do have to say, when I met April, you were 16, I was 15,
That's right. That's
which
exactly
is true
right.
because she's a lot older. But
Oh, wait. That's
well,
a
couple
lie.
couple months.
Okay,
months. I wasn't
there you
quite.
go.
I was maybe 6. I
We
was
called it a
maybe
year
15.
because it was a different year.
It was a
but
school year.
It was still
Which is
69.
different.
68, you're born.
You're born in
I'm
69.
69.
Oh,
She
we're
just
gonna
had
have
her
a
birthday.
throwdown on
She's
A
at
Great Day
the-
to Talk.
Here
Yeah.
we go.
Loving it.
That's right.
It's
Right.
the age battle, the age-old battle
Yes.
of the age battle.
Yes,
Just a
the
few
age-old
months.
battle of who's older. However, we were on the set, and I didn't know her because she was new, and she had very high heels. And
I wore high heels everywhere, and I still do.
yes, she still do. She still do.
She still do.
still do
Pineview
that.
High. That's how you rock it.
That's how we do. That's how we do. We wear heels.
Oh my gosh.
And
here we go.
Anyway,
Poor
she,
April.
Royal bunch in here. I was like,
I saw her in those high heels, and I was trying to be really cool because I would
So
love a
cool.
new friend. I was so cool. I was like, so do you party?
I didn't even know what it meant.
Neither did I.
I was like, I've been to a birthday party. Does that count?
yes.
And I think that's how it still goes,
I'm-
right?
I'm-
I had no idea what I was saying. I just was trying to be cool, and I didn't know what cool was. I did not know what cool was. I was in the drama
actually,
club.
okay, I'm gonna take over.
Is that past tense?
Let me take over.
Yes.
She actually did invite me to a really cool party. She invited me to the Dixie Roundup.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Back-
dear.
We went to the
back-
rodeo. That was our first date.
Our first date was at the rodeo, and her dad worked the hot dog stand, and he Tom gave us a free hot dog.
Yes.
It was a great night.
You can't pass up a rodeo hot dog with mustard.
That's right.
Especially from Tom.
Never.
No
Especially
mustard,
from
but
Tom.
yeah, so it was a great night. That was our first date, and every year since we kind of text each other around the Dixie Roundup. I don't even know. Do they call it that anymore?
Yeah, it's the roundup.
Oh, just the Roundup.
They round up the cows, I
And
guess.
and anyway, we're like, oh, it's our anniversary of our first date.
Oh, happy anniversary.
Yes,
Well-
in fact, April lived in LA, and when I got earlier than I did in '89, she moved to Los Angeles, and I moved to Long Beach in '91. We were both married, and I traveled back to St. George during the roundup so that I
Oh,
Should
have
you
a hot
so-
dog.
could tradition.
Oh, we are on one tonight.
Okay,
Hey, we got 2 weeks of pent
Hey,
up.
listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about the real estate market really quick because you already. I told you I talk a lot, and we're going to run out of
We've
time.
got lots
Oh
of
my
stuff to talk
gosh,
about.
April is like
April,
cracking
wow.
the whip around
Wow.
here.
Wait.
What is that?
We
Wow,
actually
try to have some fun.
We actually have to acknowledge April is a genius around real estate in our community. Not only our community, but really all of Southern Utah. And if I ever have questions, April is the one that I would refer to, or anyone that has a question, I always refer them to April because she knows
And she'll
the
find
stuff.
out.
Yep, and she, yeah, that's exactly it. She won't pretend like, oh, here's what it is. She gets the real deal. So I just wanted to
Thank you,
send that in there, April,
Well-
because you know your stuff.
And honestly, she has been top agent year after year after year
Yeah.
in her
In her
tiny
industry.
in her
area.
industry. And
In her industry.
April has been with ERA for over 18 years and has worked in the Hurricane office and served the Hurricane, Virgin, Rockville,
Zion. Yeah.
Springdale area.
community.
And was a Springdale local for many years when she lived there. So she is a
She can
definite
speak
expert
to.
in that area. So we're excited to hear what's
It's like
going
the
on.
PhD of real estate.
It really
Honestly.
is, and it's not just knowing the market, right? It's knowing how to be with people and deal with people and be in relationship, and that's really the information is one thing.
It's like
but
being a
this
teacher.
podcast, we really talk about relationships a lot and how essential that is. Information alone will only get you so far. Relationship is really what gets you to the next tier, and that's what you've been able to create. And so that's why I'm so excited to have you here as well.
Well,
Thanks,
and
April, for coming.
Thank you for coming.
sure. And being our newest sponsor. Thank you for that as
yeah.
well.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
This is my first podcast, so that's a good way to get on here, guys. If you
But-
want to be a guest speaker, become a sponsor.
That's exactly right. That's contact
Yes.
Patty Richardson.
Yes. But I want to refer back to 2 weeks ago. We did a podcast and we were talking about serving others, and I mentioned my friend April who teleports
wherever it's
to wherever
needed.
is needed. And I don't know how she does it, but she still does and gets millions of things done. Teleports to who knows where, but always to the need of others.
Yep.
And that's that relationship building.
That's exactly
And
right.
her clients don't stay clients; those clients become friends.
That's right. And then they're clients forever.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Uh-huh.
That happens for sure.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Here
So
we
we're
go.
going to just pass it on over
thank you so much. I'm
and
going to talk
pretend like you have the floor.
I appreciate that. I was just going to say that I have been in real estate forever, which went by really fast. 18 years, 38 friends with you. We moved here in 1984. But even I'm a move-in, right? So I moved down from Salt Lake. When we moved here, there was one stoplight at the corner of Bluff Street and St. George Boulevard.
Wow.
And I cried, and I cried a lot. I didn't want to move here. I thought it was awful, and it was tiny. And now I'm so grateful that we moved in when we did. And one of the things we talked about is that there are a lot of people coming from a lot of places, and I know there's a lot of frustration out there because of it, but I want everyone to remember that we probably all came from somewhere, because I was here in 84 and most of you weren't. Yeah. So, and I wasn't even. So unless you are an original, and Patty was here and her parents owned a flower shop, and they're even more original than us.
But my grandparents weren't here originally. They were from Beaver, Utah, and they moved here when my mom was 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So
we don't get to really be angry. I feel that there's a lot of anger out there at new move-ins, but technically we all are really new move-ins to this area. So we need to be a little bit kinder about that concept. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about the things that happen when you benefit from people who move here. Our taxes in the West, in Utah in particular, are some of the lowest around. Yeah, we have a big discussion about whether it's better to move to Mesquite or to Utah, and they talk about how they have no income tax, and I talk about how we have the lowest, a way lower property tax. So technically, if you have no income, like maybe a retired person or low income, then definitely Utah's a better choice over Mesquite. Take that, Mesquite office.
Yeah. Ooh, a throwdown right there. Love it.
And we have a Costco.
We have a Costco. We have a Costco.
We're gonna have 2 soon.
Oh, are we?
I read. Well, didn't I read that
from your list
in your
of things,
list of things that
we
are
were
coming?
reading your newsletter.
I
and
read
we
your
were
newsletter every time
flabbergasted.
you send it, April.
I have a really great team, so we do send out a newsletter every month. And if you want to join us on ZionCanyonRealEstate.com, you can get on there and get that newsletter. And we do tell you what's coming up, and that's hilarious because she just sent that out.
It's so fantastic. I could list off all the things because I read April's. I read April's newsletter
I
every
do have
time
to
it
give
comes.
a shout out to McCrae Hepler. He does compile most of that, and then we kind of pilfer from him, and we do give him credit. But
can we
he's
also
awesome.
give McCrae a little shout out
Because
he's a new daddy?
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah.
So
I love too the conversation about the people coming in, because it's not unique to St. George. The national trending is for people to move into communities that are established like this, but that aren't as large. They're outside of larger metropolises.
Yeah.
They're not right
Within
down
a drive.
Yeah, within a drive. So,
Sure.
yeah.
Sure, and everything comes with pros. Change is hard, and everything comes with pros and cons, but we really, as humans, have to understand that people keep having babies, and people do want to be safe, and people want to be warm, and people are tired of shoveling snow, and they're tired of hurricanes and fires and floods and crime, and they do want to come, and that's the human condition, that you want to be somewhere that's all of the great things that we have here. And so be kind to people who came here with seeking things that, and you guys cover this a lot on your podcast, and I really appreciate that just being a good human is important, and it's one of the things we should all maybe keep in mind better. But it also keeps our taxes low, and it keeps some jobs here. I remember when we first had kids, we're like, well, we both moved to LA. We had to move away from our parents. Patty and I both went to California because there were no jobs here for our husbands. You couldn't stay here if you wanted to have a career of any kind, right? We were fortunate to come back, and Riley came back and was able to build homes, and I was able to come back and sell real estate. Well, if we don't let anyone else in, both of those jobs are gone.
Right.
So, and we're going to have to go back to California.
Oh.
So just know that people come with problems, but they also come with an upside, and maybe your kids will get to stay. And it's a huge benefit to have your kids close to you. And I think, anyway, a couple of my kids live here, and I love it.
And might I just add that there's a great opportunity for new ideas and new diversity and
Growth.
Yeah, that come with people that come in, if you're willing to accept that and embrace it, and at least be open to the possibility of the conversation.
Right.
And so I think that's a beautiful part of the process, is to see what is the opportunity that's here, instead of what am I opposed to?
What
here?
am I getting?
What am
shut
I
out
losing?
from? Yep.
Instead of let's look at what can I gain from this, instead of what am I losing? Because it's inevitable that people are going to come, because the population is going to continue to grow. So,
and that's what I think a lot of people have enjoyed, that our community was homogenized. which isn't something I necessarily have always enjoyed, because I would love to see more different thoughts, more diversity, more cultural influence, and
More perspective.
more perspective. And I
Absolutely.
think our kids need that, and we all need that.
Yeah, because it just leads to more conversation, more ideas, the expansion of possibility. And I think that's good for everyone. It doesn't mean you have to embrace it.
Or
It's
change.
Just, it's
You don't-
just
nobody
in
has to
it's
change.
just in
Yeah.
the conversation. It's just in the atmosphere. That's all.
Yeah.
So with that, April, what kinds of trends have we seen with this change that's been happening and that we've all noticed every time we go drive
I know, it's-
somewhere
So
in town?
certainly home prices we should talk about first, because home prices have spiked dramatically, obviously, and then COVID was a huge player in that. We thought at first that COVID would tank the market, that finally this crash that we've all been worried about would finally happen, and it just didn't. In fact, we have the COVID boom, now we're calling it.
Wow.
And home prices went up almost 30%, which hasn't happened since 2007. That 2006, 2007
Right
was
before
it
the crash.
Right before the crash. So we've all been waiting for this big crash, right? So historically, real estate has been on a 10 to 11 year cycle where you have ups and downs, and we have ebb and flow, and it's always been about 10 years where you build, and then you come back down. You build, and you come back down. And it's happened to my mom in 84 when we came here. She had to switch careers and worked at a bank instead of a title company because the interest rates were 18%.
Yeah.
And there were no
Wow.
way, there was no way to get a loan, and so she couldn't be a loan officer anymore. And then it built back up. Anyway, it's historically been that way. But all the greatest experts in the whole world are saying that we are not going to see a crash again like the 2008 crash for a plethora of reasons.
What are some of the top reasons?
One of the best reasons is that the lending practices are so much better
Right.
now.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and they really are pre-qualifying the buyers, and they really are making sure you have a down payment. And if you'll notice, like, how many houses do you own, Jill?
I own just the one.
And how many houses do you own?
One.
So typically in 2006, most of the people would answer 2 or 3.
Oh my gosh.
It really was true that most people would own more than one house, and obviously never meant to even live in the
Any of
second
those.
or the third, or
Right.
even pause, or the one they had bought they were about to flip, or they'd already flipped it, or so people were buying with money that they had never intended to. It was just a commodity like bananas. You're gonna buy it today and eat it tomorrow and just get rid of it. But anyway, so that concept is no longer a thing. Money isn't free. Money isn't that easy. You do have to get qualified. And so that's helped a ton. And then the pent-up demand from 2008 when you saw no building,
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
2010 to when it started. And we were just talking about when Cash Valley Bank came to town. Cash Valley Bank, which we thought would change their names, offered a personal construction loan, which we hadn't seen since like 2007. We're like, what? You can get a loan to build a house? We haven't seen that because they went away, right? So no one was building their own home or could get a finance for a home for those 4 or 5 years. So that built up demand, and we haven't really ever been able to catch up for those years. All those years, people still wanted homes. They still had kids. Kids still got married. People still had babies and grew their families, but there wasn't enough. And now with supply issues, and we just haven't been able to catch up, unlike any other time in history.
Well, I just remember when we built our home back in the day, that was 2001, and it took 3 months
Yeah.
to build our home.
Yeah, things were easy back
And
then.
that is not a thing.
No, you can't build a home in
Not a
barely
thing.
under a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, if someone gets your house done in a year, that's awesome. That means they found garage doors somewhere on sale.
Yeah, I know.
No, I don't know.
Well, I was talking to a friend of mine that's doing a parade home, and he said, I may not have garage doors on this parade home.
Yeah. Well, you're doing a parade home,
Yeah,
right?
so we have house number 18, and that means I have it
And
listed.
I'm sorry for our viewers who maybe are not local. What is the parade?
Let's talk a little bit
Yeah.
about
Southern Utah Home Builders.
Association. Yeah, so SUBA Southern puts on an amazing,
It is amazing.
really,
I think
an
it's the
incredible
best of
event.
of Utah.
Yeah,
It's my favorite thing to look forward to,
well, that's
especially
good,
it's a
'cause I have
transition.
tickets for all of you.
Oh, yay!
Really?
Favorite
And
guest.
Yeah,
Gosh,
there you go.
April.
I have a
Love
pair of
that.
tickets for each one of you in this room, and I also have tickets available to win for your listeners, viewers. If you're watching
If you're
on Facebook,
watching,
but if anyone wants to text to 39200, if you text the word report, you're going to have access to a really in-depth market report that ERA puts out.
oh wow.
And we will choose 3 or 4 people and give you 2 tickets to this year's Parade of Homes. So 39200.
I'm going to do that, but don't pick me because I just want the report.
9200.
And Sean, I don't know if we can put this in the
Can you put it in the comments?
text the word report, REPORT, to 39200. And we'll go through that. That goes to my team, and we'll choose 3 or 4 people and get a hold of you and give you some parade tickets.
That's awesome.
So for those of you who don't know, the parade this year is February 18th through the 27th. It is put on by the Southern Utah Home Builders Association, and historically 30 to 40,000 people come to
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
I mean,
39.
39,200. 39,200.
Oh yeah, how do we do it?
39,200.
200.
There we go.
And the word is report. Thank you, Sean.
Text report to
Hey,
39200.
Sean, if you want tickets, I've got tickets for you too.
but only if you text to 39200.
The word report.
Yeah. So this is a glass half full kind of scenario too. So now, who's ever tried to drive when the parade is in town?
Oh, please, people go home.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Who owns a restaurant while the parade is in town? Like it's a whole different. It's a
Well,
whole, right?
hotels.
It's a boom for them.
It's a
VRBOs.
huge boom economy. So,
Yeah, everything's sold out.
and I want to talk,
Which
really,
is great.
It's really
awesome.
great. So I want to talk really quick about just the tax rate in general, because I'm also on the tourism council for Hurricane Valley, and because of our tourism, our taxes in general are paid by tourists. Like we have a 17% of our taxes. I think that was the number. 17% of the taxes that are needed to keep this place going are paid all by. So everyone's taxes would go up if we didn't have any tourists. So
Wow.
again, when you're behind someone who doesn't know how to drive or doesn't know where they're going, just show a little patience, show a little love. They're helping you pay your taxes.
That's a great way to
I
look
love
at it.
that.
And
Thank you.
And just so you know, Greater Zion has the statistics on their website about that, and it's really interesting to see what tourism pays for and how it keeps our trails great, and it keeps our
Yeah.
it pays for a lot of stuff.
And
down
that's
here.
that's probably true for so many communities, right?
Yeah.
That there are a lot of communities that bring in lots of tourist dollars,
You know,
and it's about perspective.
I have wondered many a time how they keep adding new trails and how they keep adding new elements. And that's a really interesting thing for me to learn, that it's coming from
The tourist.
the tourists. And I'm sure there's other places that the money's coming from for people that are coming from out of town. Are there other places?
So we talked
April?
about this a little bit earlier, but yeah, the tax rate. So a couple of things about real estate. If you own a home and it's your second home down here in southern Utah, nobody lives there. It's your second home. You get away from there. You are charged 45% higher of a property tax rate than if it is your primary residence. So
45%.
Washington County
Wow.
really gets those people, right? And if
Way to go, Washington County!
So, and if you
Go
think
team.
about it,
Go team, go.
those are paying teacher salaries. Those
Yeah.
are paying, and they don't.
We
have,
need a few more people to buy second homes around
and-
here.
That's right.
Who do we
and-
know?
Have them call me. And
There you go.
And they're not using the facilities, but they're helping mostly
Right.
pay for the facilities. So it's actually a kind of a win-win for the residents here to have someone have a second home here that they're really not using.
Occupying full time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which seems counterintuitive, but it is on the other flip side of that. If you are one that owns a second home and are not taking advantage of, or if you are here part-time and you're using it, you're not taking advantage of that primary residence,
Yeah.
you should look into that. 'Cause,
Yeah, you should change your
everyone-
status.
Save your
Talk
tax
to your
45%.
accountant for sure.
Yeah, everyone who is living here full-time in their home or even part-time most of the time should make sure they're getting the primary tax exemption, because they don't give you that 45% automatically. You have to apply for it.
Interesting.
And they'll
Interesting.
check your driver's license to make sure that the address on your driver's license is also the same address on your primary residence.
That's how they get you.
So if you have a second home and you're here 6 months out of the year or less or whatever, and make this your primary residence.
So, April, does that happen in all counties? Are we an exception to that rule?
I believe Washington County is an exception, especially with the 45% is pretty large. So I'm not sure. I'm licensed in Washington County. I haven't checked out the tax rolls of most other places, but I know that we're rare.
That's
and I know,
really
I know
fascinating.
that most people, or a lot of people, if they're 50-50, if they're Salt Lake City and they're us, that they'll really seriously consider making their St. George home their primary residence
Right.
because I don't think Salt Lake has that kind of
That's
incentive.
And what about
an important thing to
out-of-staters?
learn?
So out-of-staters would really have to do the same thing. They
Yeah.
have to. So you have to have two things. You file your taxes from the Utah address, and you get your driver's license here. And when you get your driver's license here, that also means you register your vehicles here.
Right.
So it entails that
there's
you
a lot.
You have to make this. You have to call it home, but certainly.
And who wouldn't want to call it home?
That's
Well,
right.
that's what I was going to say. The incentive for paying that higher tax to have a second home is that you have a home here in St. George, because our weather is mild in the winter. Our summers are hot, but you're in AC or you're in a pool.
And it's your second home.
And if it's your second home,
that's when you're maybe not here.
Yeah.
Hey, do you want to hear my best spiel?
Yes.
My hot summer spiel. So this is my spiel for people. No matter where you live, unless it's California or Florida, you're going to have 3 months, 2 to 3 months out of the year that you can't really spend a lot of time outside. And you can decide if that 2 to 3 months is because it's too hot. You can decide if that 2 to 3 months is because it's too cold. And again, you can choose Florida and California, and that doesn't count, right? So to me, we choose Southern Utah because it's
I mean,
I'm telling
Scott,
you.
Right. I would
That's-
rather
that
be
was me.
heat than
Yeah,
cold.
that was me coming from New York. My friends, how can you handle that heat? And I said, I would much rather go from air-conditioned building to air-conditioned building
Exactly.
than dig my car out of the snow piles from the snowplow
Yeah.
every morning.
Yeah.
So it's a
Scott
no-brainer
always
to me.
says, you don't have to shovel sunshine.
That's right.
You
That's
know,
true.
so,
That's true.
yeah.
Well, even today was slated to be the coldest day of the year.
And it was cold at like
Uh-huh.
It was cold.
Well, and I'm not very
39
good
or
at
40 degrees.
Yeah.
Without the wind, though.
Right.
Yeah.
The wind was a big deal, but I'm not very good at bringing a coat. If you ask my husband, I don't want to take a coat. I don't like taking jackets. I don't want it because I usually don't need it unless I do. And today I brought a coat and it was in my car, and I got into the school building and I was in there all day. And then when I came out, I was like, oh my gosh, it's windy and cold. And I made it to my car. And then I went to a restaurant and I was like, well, I don't really need my coat because I'm going 5 feet into a restaurant.
Right.
And then I left the restaurant, went back to my car 5 feet, and then I came here 5 feet and went back. I've never
It's
needed
true.
my coat.
It's
Yeah.
true.
Even though it
It's
was
the
the coldest day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I made my choice to come to St. George all
Yeah.
those 20 some odd years ago.
Yeah.
So, April, what else can you tell us?
So I just wanted one really quick thing. Like if you haven't bought a home yet, and I know you guys all teach high school, and maybe a lot of my clients have been kids that I served in our church environment who've grown up, right? They got
Yeah.
married and they had kids. So the youth of today do everything online, and they may not know even where to start. They want to add to cart, right? They want to go online and add that. How do I buy a house if I can't go on Amazon? So I just want to
That's
encourage
fantastic.
the youth. My son called me. My youngest son has graduated from the Utah State, and he has been looking at houses for about a year, but wanted to wait until he graduated and wait till he started his job and was being really responsible. And he called and said, I can't afford anything now. I can't afford anything. And I just said, look, keep saving money, call a lender. Let's see how close you are. Let's see how much money you have to save. You can find something. Everyone can find something. And it may not be your dream home. I was telling Patty, like, these kids are going to have to start like our parents started. They're going to have to start with tiny little townhomes or duplexes or starter homes. You're really going to have to watch your credit. You're not going to be able to buy the latest iPhone or the whatever car. You really are going to have to, the housing is expensive, and it typically is the main purchase of your life. So
Yeah.
it's supposed to be expensive. So I'm sorry that the prices went up. It is scary, but it is still doable. There are amazing programs. There's a Help You Build program right in Hurricane that you can apply for You have to dedicate 300 hours of work, which lots of kids have time and friends. And
Yeah.
And you have to help your neighbors build their house.
Oh, I love that.
It's a great
Build a community together.
Helping
Yeah.
It's called Helping Hands, I believe. But there's also, Utah has some amazing community housing loans out there. There's a rural housing loan. Right now we have incredible FHA loans, and just find a lender. Patty's niece, Kia, is a great lender who has
Kia Blake.
Kia Blake. Mm-hmm.
We should put her number up there. She's awesome. She's so awesome.
She's great to work with, and has found different programs for different needs.
And they are out there. It's going to hurt a little bit, but it should. Anything worth doing hurts a little.
Right.
I just think
That's
that
right.
there's
I get that.
you know,
I get that.
expectations have changed as over the years, and I think part of this is there. You get to go back to kind of what we grew up with. I mean, I don't think any of us thought we would buy into our dream home as our first home. I think all of us bought into what we could get into initially, fixed it up the best we could, and lived there until we were ready to then
Had
sell
some
that
equity to put down on something else.
built some equity, and then sold it and went into the next home.
That's right.
But that's not what it's like today.
Right.
Kids today, I think people in general, the expectation of what they should live in is tripled.
Is
I was
the
just
parade
gonna-
home.
Is a parade home.
Right.
Right.
Right. We talked about this earlier. In 1996, Riley and I built our first home. He's a builder. He had a framing company, and he did some of the dirt work. He did the framing. We did the finish carpenter. I think we painted. And he slept there at nights. Like he did.
Right.
He did everything because he slept there on the patio in the 110 feet or 110 degrees because he didn't want our stuff stolen.
Right.
Yeah.
And we had a 1,500 square Rambler, and I never thought of anything but Formica. I didn't even know about granite.
Anything more than
No,
that.
I never thought anything more than that.
And we all
And
went over and helped. I remember caulking all
You
your door
caulked
frames.
all the door frames,
Yeah,
yep.
like you just got your friends to help.
Oh
and-
yeah, and my own kids have. It's a different scenario for them. I'm like, why haven't they had it hard?
It's really a different
They have
kind
not
of
paid the
lifestyle.
price yet.
But you know what I'm seeing too
I had
now
Formica.
is that's how we rolled
So
with the
hard.
way we started, right?
Mhm.
And then our kids
Replaced.
have been in this space, and now my kids who are starting to step into thinking about life later are just in a really, I don't want to, negative is kind of the word, because they're like, what's the point? There is no option. And so it really makes me happy, April, to hear that you say, there is hope that can happen. I can't wait to share that with my son and his girlfriend, because it really, when you look at the prices and you look at how things are increasing in cost, and when I look at what my house value is now compared to what we paid for it, and the fact that if we were to sell now, we could never buy a house even half of what we have
Right.
now.
Yeah.
So to give them some hope, really, I appreciate that information, because they are going to be starting over just like our grandparents and just like we did. And our grandparents started even in an even tougher situation than we did.
Do you think there will be some adjustment though? Because right now in the market, it's expensive to buy, and there's no rentals. The rents on rentals
Are
because there are hardly
insane.
any rental properties are crazy, and it's so competitive
Yeah.
to get into a rental when you find it that there's just not enough housing even available.
Enough affordable housing or affordable rent for
Yeah.
our service
Yeah.
workers or
What do you think about that, April?
So I know
college
that
students.
the city of St. George has been really, really working hard on that, and a couple of things has been prohibitive, and water obviously is, is a
Natural
problem.
resources a
Yeah.
struggle.
And so they run a fine balance of making sure everyone has enough water and that we have enough water as a community. And then so you build too many apartments, and the water impact fees don't change whether you're doing a whole house or you're doing an apartment.
which
building.
are
And
exorbitant.
they're exorbitant, and you want them to be expensive enough that water's hard and it's thought
You have
out.
to-
Thought
right.
out. We got to provide it, right?
Right.
We got to figure out how to get it here and how to provide it. So I know the city of St. George is trying. I was on a panel where could we lower the share? They call it a shared wall discount. Could you lower the shared wall discount if you're building a
like a twin
Twin
home,
home.
or
twin
something.
home or a duplex or somewhere where they're sharing a wall? Can the impact fees go down? But then you run into people who don't want that in your backyard, and again, it comes to the public perception that these are kids. These are kids that you want to live in your backyard. These are your kids.
Right.
That hopefully you're not mad when someone tries to build townhomes behind your beautiful homes. Like, they need a place to live too. If you want to be able to go to Ross tomorrow,
Right.
I mean, I don't know how else to say it. That we really need to be more open-minded about providing space for everyone.
Right.
Yeah, I don't even think that you're just talking about I think you're talking about really mid-range
Right.
kinds
Yeah.
of
A fir-
workers.
Well, we've had
you're talking about first-year teachers.
Yeah.
People
right?
that come from out
who
of
are
town to
single
fill
first-year teachers.
education
There's not.
positions. Yeah.
we've had
They
many
can't
teachers.
rent.
Yeah.
No,
find
they,
something.
They leave after a year
Right. Yeah.
because they can't
Yeah.
afford to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's coming around. I think inventory will catch up as we find more supplies and more things come online. And we just really got COVID hit at a really bad time.
Yeah, I think that's
it. Just did.
I mean, I don't think you could anticipate,
Two
even when you thought we were
Rolling
over it,
forward.
and then the variants came in. I don't think that could be anticipated, and what that would mean to delays in construction
Production,
and
materials.
production
Because the
and
construction material delay.
transportation.
all of it.
Yeah.
And the pricing and all of that. So
Yeah.
so hopefully in the next 2 years it will all work out to be able to, we'll see more product. We'll see the prices go down. Interest rates are supposed to go up, which will bring the prices down.
Is that how that works? Because I really don't know.
Yeah, so if interest rates go up, then you can borrow less, right? So if people can borrow less, then they can't afford as much. So low interest rates drives pricing up. Higher interest rates will bring prices down, theoretically. If everyone's paying cash, then that doesn't really work. But
Right.
so that was a misconception we wanted to talk about really quick, is that most of the people moving here, 50% of
Oh,
the people
yeah.
moving here are
Yeah, moving here in Washington County.
into Washington County, or around Washington County, we should say. 33% are moving from northern Utah. So when everyone says, "Oh, we hate these Californians," technically, and then 15% of the people this last year were just moving within Washington County. So just
Yeah.
moving around, moving up, moving down.
So 50% of
So
the
50
movings
were
were
Utah
from
people.
town.
from Utah.
So when you're driving around,
Well, that explains why I hate them. Oh, I'm so kidding.
But,
I'm
gee.
just so kidding.
yeah, so we don't get to hate them. They're from Utah. So and then
just so
and
kidding.
then we've had a
Well,
huge
we don't
influx.
need to hate anyone that
Any
moved
of
here,
them.
right?
I'm so kidding.
Because when we have people who move in, it drives our economy.
Yeah.
People are going to restaurants. People
Right,
are,
and they're just new ideas. It's just, I
Yeah.
mean, come on. It's part of
And we're
living.
all in
but
the
it's
same
not
human
100%
race.
of
We moved here.
people.
We all moved here.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and then we do have a lot of people moving in from California, obviously, but it's about 17-ish%.
Interesting.
And then from everywhere else. So Idaho is huge.
Texas,
Oregon,
Washington.
Washington.
All the places. Yeah. And even
Right.
back east, we have a whole bunch
Yeah.
of people, like the craziest places are finding us. So.
Well, and you can't blame them. And as a school teacher, I've seen a lot of people move here. You
Yes.
probably have too.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And when their kids have been home, home
With COVID
with COVID for a
online.
year and a half online, they're like, we're out of here. Our kids can't play sports, and that was a big part of their life. And just the mental health issues with kids isolated at
Yeah.
home,
Well,
which we have not seen. I feel like Washington County or Utah in general, especially Southern Utah, has been super
pretty
fortunate
isolated.
to not have experienced the isolation
Yes.
that
Absolutely.
so many other states have. So when I hear about people struggling with being isolated at home and whatnot, I don't feel like
We haven't.
we
because
have,
we have
not felt
no,
that.
we
so
have
our
not
kids
felt
don't,
that.
our students don't really understand it. They had 1 quarter off and then summer, and they came back in full time, but they had a mask, and that was it. Where these other kids stayed home for
well,
a year
and
and a
it's
half.
still happening. You
Yeah.
know, last year at the beginning of the year, in one class, I had 14 new move-ins, and none of them were just in the area. They were all, northern Utah, Washington, Oregon, California, Texas, Las Vegas.
Las
Big
Vegas
Las
was
Vegas.
yep.
And that's part of the attraction here. We've got the weather, we've got the safety, and we've got the kids in school.
And honestly, one of the things people love here is that people are nice. And
Yeah.
I hate to have that go away.
Absolutely.
Well,
Right?
Yeah.
We're
It's a
committed
selling
that it
point,
won't.
for sure.
Yeah.
You know, I think the other thing is too is that as Zion's has become and the parks have become so amazingly popular, they're being discovered sometimes for the first time, which means that we're being discovered for the first time. And I think that's why, even from people up north, I'm amazed at how many people from up north had never been down to see the
Right.
parks. And that I think that's part of what has increased the growth down here in this area is that
Absolutely.
it just
Right.
hadn't been experienced like it's being experienced
Well,
now.
people needed to go someplace, but I also think social media has opened people's eyes to areas that people didn't know.
Well, sure,
little
because
secrets
we have
that people
we have
didn't know about.
information
Absolutely.
instantaneously that we
Or
can
like,
do that,
oh,
which
that
which
was right-
again I think is also part of what brings people here, because it doesn't take long for news to travel fast about where should we
Go
move.
hiking. Where should
Yeah.
we move? Where-
You know, we've always been known as a snowbird community, and now I think
it's just not.
just a
It's-
snowbird
it's
community
recreational.
anymore. Mhm.
It's the
outdoor.
medical apparatus
Uh-huh.
here is going to be. It may surpass tourism at some point.
What do you think about that, April?
So our tourism council talks a lot about how Zion, and they've actually been working on this a lot because Zion is Utah's largest cul-de-sac. Have you ever heard it called that?
Oh my word, no!
Because it ends, right? You
Oh,
end
gosh.
at the Temple of Sinawava and the Narrows, and then you have to turn around and come out.
I love that.
So it's
I lived in a cul-de-sac. I can totally feel that.
it's too crowded. It gets too crowded, and so they're trying. The Greater Zion program or the marketing program is really to show everything that you can do here. And so now the ATVing actually. I don't know if anyone watches Matt's Off-Road Recovery, but he has over 1 million subscribers, and he goes
Wow.
and he goes and gets people who are stuck, Sand Hollow, just all the
All the parks.
all the places.
Warner Valley,
Canyon.
Warner Valley, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I bet that's a big one.
Kolob.
And people are coming. There's 2 ATV rallies that are the largest in the whole nation,
Right,
and they
right.
had to move it. They
Wow.
have one in the spring and one in the fall.
And they don't they have them out at Sand Hollow?
They start
Reservoir?
This is why we have so many new hotels. Then
Uh-huh.
I had no idea. I couldn't figure it out.
People who want to move here.
Yeah.
Because and so going to Zion is like third on the list. Like they want to do an ATV trail.
Yeah.
Wow.
You
It's
can see
the
so
whole,
much more.
Yeah. It's the whole. It's the whole
Well,
experience, right?
and an ATV ride is less peeply.
That's true.
And then
You're not
Zion.
walking up the Narrows with
A
being
bunch of
able to
people.
hold hands like in the
Yeah.
Grinch show where you're walking
there
together.
were times this year because they had to do reduced people on the bus, and you had to wear a mask on the bus, and some people were very angry about that. But that there was an over 2-hour wait to just get into the
Wow.
park,
Yeah.
and it's like Disneyland. And anyway, so
Need a
they got-
They're
fast pass.
talking
Are
about a
they
lottery,
talking about
aren't they?
lottery
Yeah.
or reservation?
It already
For-
is reservations to do Angels Landing now, and it's closed
Wow.
for April. They only did it for like this really bad 2 weeks in April. I think it was April. That you had to get tickets
Yeah.
already. So
The
Holy
good news
cow.
is that Zion's is gorgeous, but
Okay.
the other parks are
Just as gorgeous.
equally
Let's
outstanding.
talk about Snow Canyon.
I mean,
Not a
Snow
national, but a
Canyon-
state park.
take your electric bike and just go through Snow Canyon. I
It's
mean, it is
fantastic.
fabulous.
I don't ever want to correct an English teacher ever in my whole life, but if we have to say Zion, not Zion's.
Oh,
It's Zion's Bank, Zion Canyon.
apologies.
And to all of those out there, it's not Zion
There you go, too.
either. Thank you very much. But
Only because
Well, is it hurricane or hurricane?
that's a tough one.
yeah,
well,
let's not get into that
technically,
debate.
local?
or yeah,
Let's not get into
Tomato
that
or
debate
or
because
culturally.
As it turns out, you actually have to pronounce it correctly to buy a house there. So April, talk to us really fast about the differences in pricings between the different
Areas.
areas of southern Utah.
Oh, it's tough because it used to be, hey, come to Hurricane. We were cheaper, but we're not anymore. We are just as bad as anywhere else. And again, it's because we're on the map now. In fact, it's funny. So I'm again Hurricane
Tourism Council.
Tourism Council, so I have a tendency. But I grew up in St. George, so all the stuff. If you go to the Greater Zion website and all the stuff they're promoting,
Is in
basically in
Hurricane.
Hurricane, we've got Quail Lake, we've got Sand Hollow, we've got the sand dunes. We are the gateway
I
to
was gonna
Zion
say.
National Park.
Yep.
So
and the road to
Lake
the
Powell.
cane beds and the road to Lake Powell.
and Warner Valley's on the way out there. So anyway, but we're sixes now. It's hard to find
Interesting.
anything that's a good
What-
deal. People want a good deal. I'm like, have you heard of Burl? How do you
Yeah.
feel about your own water, digging your own well?
Right.
What's
Right.
considered rural? Where could someone get a rural loan?
Oh, Hurricane still
Considered
qualifies.
really.
Yeah.
Is
what about
Ivan
Dixie
still?
Springs? Oh.
No.
Ivan's is no
Oh,
longer because I know for a while they were doing.
Ivans has
rural
parts.
loans.
Yeah, Ivans has parts.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was
it
ju- I
does
was-
depend on the
I was just
location
thinking
in
Dixie
Ivans.
Springs
Yeah.
no longer has houses that qualify price wise, I would think.
Even for rural lending.
So rural lending has caps, and I'm not a lender. Call Kia. But Dixie,
Kia
Yeah.
Blake. Kia Blake.
Dixie Springs qualifies because it's in Hurricane. Dixie Springs may not qualify because the houses are too nice.
Yeah.
Got it.
Too big. So
Got
So
it.
rural lending has a cap, so you can we
Only
will
borrow
lend
so
you
much.
up to
Yeah.
300,000 or
X
400,000 or whatever.
It's really to get people into homes who probably would never be able to get
Right.
into a home.
Yeah.
So it's a low down.
So-
it's a low
And low
interest.
interest.
rate.
What's
right.
the advantage of getting people into a home that may not have been in a
Ooh,
home?
I'm
why
glad you
why
asked
do we
this
care?
question. Okay, does everyone in this room is married? Do you remember the day before you were married?
Yeah.
How you felt about your husband? And then do you remember the day after? Like the commitment feeling, like things change. Okay, you. There's something about a commitment. There's something that changes, and I believe in marriage. I love marriage. I think people change when they get married. I think everyone feels a little bit more stable, a little bit. That's how I feel about when you put someone in a home. Like something about their life from changing from a renter to a homeowner, like their whole
Perspective.
just their whole balance of their life is a little bit better, is a little bit more stable, is a little bit calmer, is a little bit more happy, is a little bit
Confident.
everything about them is a little bit better when you own a home, in my opinion. But I'm a realtor. But I really do feel like there's the stability that comes from being a homeowner. You know what the best feeling was? Pounding a nail in the wall.
Right.
Yeah.
Being able
And
to.
hanging something that you actually wanted to hang, that you wanted to stay there for as long as you freaking care about hanging it there. Like there's something about a command strip and never having to buy one again. Right? You can put a nail in the wall. It's yours. You can paint any color you want. There's something about owning a home that's like that, being like putting a ring on it.
Well,
it's just
and-
a commitment that
Yeah.
it's yours. And there's something that's really, really community building in that. It makes people stay. It makes people get to know their neighbors. Like in general, I'm speaking in generalities, of course, but
Take
it
pride in their yard.
in their neighborhoods, in their yards, in their. It makes there's
It's
some
community building. I
really
really
is.
do believe that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's better. And historically, neighborhoods that are full of homeowners versus neighborhoods that are full of renters. Historically, the neighborhoods do better who have homeowners in them, and the people do better. And I'm not saying anything against renters. I've been a renter. I've been a renter a
No,
long time.
it's just
but
more transient.
there's just it's a feeling. It's something that changes in you
Yeah.
when you own a home. So I would encourage everyone to start saving their
Yeah,
money.
I still think
talk
it's
to
the
a
American
lender.
dream to be, I'm old school that way. I still
Yeah.
think it's part of the American dream. I still think it's
Absolutely.
the best investment because you're going to be paying for some place to live. You might as well be paying
For your own.
into it for your own future, investment. So.
And
the tax write-off of your interest, but also you had mentioned earlier, people save your money, get your 10%.
And watch your credit. We are a credit-driven society. You've got to be really careful about what you do to your credit. Pay your bills on time. Don't get into debt. Like really start building wealth. And
Yeah.
and when you're older, if you've bought a home, a tiny home, and you turned it into a bigger home, and then you turned it into a bigger home, and then it's crazy to watch people work backwards. They sell their big home and they would turn it in for a
Right.
smaller
Yeah.
home, and then
Right.
they work their way down to a
Downsizing.
townhome again.
I've honestly thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we sold our house right now, we would
Get
the money and
something
live on it.
smaller. I
Yeah.
don't need something large because my kids don't live at home, and two of them would come to visit. I think one of them will end up living here. Of the three, two of them will end up being here. Of the three, but so
And
I
2 out of 3 ain't bad. Can we
Nope.
sing that?
Yeah.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
I don't know that one. I'm
what?
feeling left
He just
out.
died. Meatloaf just died.
Yeah.
I know.
That was sad.
Okay, I just want to make one more plug because I think we're out of time. But rdacademics.com is free real estate school. So even if you don't want your real estate license, if you just want to learn more about real estate,
I do.
Artie?
Artie?
ARTI Academics.
academics.com.
Sean, could you type that in the?
I am going to do that
Oh
because
my
I've
gosh,
always
Sean.
wanted to know.
RDacademics.com. You can be
Academics.
licensed in Utah or Las Vegas, Nevada through RDacademics.com. My son Levi Gates is in charge of their marketing, so I'm putting a plug in for him right now.
What do they do?
It's online real estate school, free online real estate
I'm
school.
gonna totally
and you
get
can
into
get
that.
licensed. So my newest buyer's agent, Marcy Elred, just got her license last week for my birthday present. That was nice of her.
Congratulations.
And she did her whole
Learning.
education through RD Academics. So
That's fantastic.
That is. That's
Maybe that's my
fantastic.
Act 3.
Well, even if you do it for the knowledge.
Yeah.
even if
just
you're
to
buying
be
your
aware.
own home, yeah.
That's
just to be aware.
absolutely we are all buyers. We need to know.
We're
Yeah.
consumers for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
And the one last thing I would just like to mention in terms of a hopefulness for the future is if you already have messed up your credit or already are in that space, don't think then that
not
that's
over.
the end of it for you, because there's so many repair opportunities. There's so many ways to be able to correct that. And you would be amazed at how quickly, over a 6-month period of time, you can make significant changes in your credit to be able to get your numbers up. So I
give up.
I
Don't
think
give up.
information is power.
Yeah.
Yep.
So don't run away from it. Seek out, find out where you're at, and then create a plan to move forward. I think that's the
That's
most
great.
right.
really
hopeful
like that.
place to go from.
And then as a parent, my oldest son, he and I bought his first house together when he was in college because of all my kids went to Utah State and we needed housing anyway. So he and I bought the first house in Logan together and sold it. And then he and I bought a house in Hurricane together, sold it. He bought me out. And now he and his wife own a Hurricane house together. Beautiful.
That is beautiful.
beautiful home.
And
And it was a great savings
Yeah.
program because when he paid me back, I'm like, woohoo. I would have spent that money. So thank you, son.
just at TJ Maxx alone.
That's right. That's exactly right. So
Oh.
don't be afraid to. Lots of people are afraid to co-sign, but don't be afraid to co-own. You know, you can sign on a house and own it together and have the right of survivorship and all the good stuff
Right.
to protect yourself. So
I love that, April. I really love that. And I really am going to check out the RD Academics because
Yeah.
I just
Do
think
it.
it's so
you
important.
would love it. You love education anyway.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a nerd that way.
I have one last question,
Okay.
April.
Sorry, Sean.
What kind of inventory is on hand here in Washington County?
Oh, hardly any, but it is going to. I want you guys to watch over the Parade of Homes. There's lots of people who've been waiting. We typically have a slowdown, and we did see it through the holidays and through
Yeah.
winter. No one wants to move here when it's cold here, but now that we have spring coming, so our inventory is at a historic low, and it dropped 23%
Wow.
in December.
Holy
Or-
Toledo.
yeah, so this is our report from December, and again, you can get that by texting that number, and I wish we could go on and find our
Text
winners,
report to
39200.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we have historically low inventory right now. But I want everyone to watch during February and March because we have a whole subdivision out in Hurricane that they've been waiting. A whole subdivision that
Wow.
was built, like almost 40 homes, that north slope on the backside of Copper Rock, and the owner is just waiting for the Parade of Homes. He's going to put all the
Everything out there.
The inventory will
all
be
the
out there.
inventory will be out at the same time. So and they're expensive. They're expensive homes. But what happens when they list anything is it gives other people with the lower price
Yeah,
an incentive to
right.
buy something.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
great!
the
now,
trickle down
yeah,
effect.
now
Yeah.
there's
Really.
something I can buy. I can finally list my home.
because
So
they're moving
that's
up,
right.
which
It's
makes
that
their
whole
homes
traditional
available.
adage.
Yep.
Starting with your first,
Moving
and
on
moving
up.
on up. Do
To the east side.
to the deluxe
apartment in the sky.
We're moving on up to the.
Okay, poor
Okay,
April.
we're done.
I don't know.
Sean
Sean.
is.
Sean's a-
He knows.
Oh boy! Cut out.
He
You
totally
are
knows. Stop.
cut off.
He totally
April,
knows how to
thank
do
you
it.
so much for coming
I've
and
learned
putting
so
up with
much,
us.
sister.
I love it.
We are
so
so
much.
happy to have you and would love to have you back
Oh my
anytime.
gosh, this could be really like a part 3 series.
Yeah, it actually could.
It really, really could.
We
'Cause
could
I
have
feel
one
like we
just on
barely
tourism,
skimmed.
just
Yeah.
on-
Yeah,
I
because
really
I think we
need
could
to.
get some. I think we could have a podcast of. Are you interested in selling? What are some tips?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
And we could
buying.
have a
how to get your
podcast.
home ready,
What are some tips?
what to do, what not
buying?
to do.
Oh my gosh, I am a
Yeah.
professional stager.
Oh my
I
gosh,
have, I have a
Sandra.
certificate. Patty doesn't think I can do it in my own house, but when I go to someone else's house, I'm awesome.
We
No,
can
no,
do
no,
it to
no,
mine.
no. I think you can do it in your own house.
She just
In
doesn't?
fact, before
What are you saying,
she
Patty?
unpacks any boxes, she puts towels on the towel rack in the bathroom and the bedspreads on with the throw pillows, but nothing's put away in the kitchen. None of the house is decorated, but nothing's put
Important
away.
things. Important
Yeah.
things.
That's right.
Important
She
things.
stages first.
I
That's
love
right.
that. Okay, I think we need to do this again, April. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so
Thank you,
much.
learned,
Thank
you.
learned,
Thank you.
learned.
Yeah, thank you.
You're
And
the
thank you
best,
for
honey.
joining us. And we'll see you
Thank
again
you.
next
Uh-huh.
week.
Thank you.
Have a
Thanks,
very
everyone.
great week. Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Everybody, take care.
Thanks for listening to It's a Great Day to Talk.
Be sure to follow and subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform.
And until next week,
Get out there and talk.
This has been a production from a podcast studio.